customer is $17.25 per month. The proposal that the city submitted in August, we would have raised those rates to $19.25 either in November or next April. Instead, we're going to lower them to $16 a month.
But my question is, we got that total. It was fine for the city when the city had their trucks. Now they're no good.
Right.
So you're saying that you're going to be working on a situation to
Right. How old is yours? Do you know off the top of your head?
less than 6 months?
Oh, yeah. Well, that would be, if I was in your shoes, I'd be particularly frustrated too, because 6 months ago, we were talking in vague terms about possibly going out for a bid, but we weren't at the point where we knew specifically what we were going to ask. We stopped selling the totes about a month ahead of time, about a month before we went out for bid. But for somebody in your situation who bought a tote within the last 6 months, I completely understand why you'd be frustrated.
Okay, well, that was my question. That's all I wanted.
Mr. Selby, too, I have the same tote that you do, and we use just the white, tall kitchen garbage sacks, you know, that fit in a normal kitchen-sized trash can. They pick them right out. They don't.
But that's not, my problem not having to buy the bags or something like that. It was just, it was working fine when the city, and then all of a sudden it changed it, and now the way it was going before, it's not working. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that's complaining about it.
Well, some people have complained. That's true. A number of people have, but we had a situation where it was a time to take a look at it. We looked at the options, and for what we were going to have to charge, Danes is charging less, significantly less. And also, we reduced the chance. Every time we have a worker out there picking up trash, we've been very lucky. We haven't had very many injuries. But there are more injuries in number sustained by refuse collectors than by policemen, firemen, or any other injury any other type of workman's comp injury out there. So there are a lot of expenses, and we have not in the past run the sanitation utility. There have been times when we've subsidized it from other departments, particularly the electric department. And increasing your electric rates to cover your trash bill is not an ideal situation.
Well, like I said, you answered my question. That's what I wanted, and I'm
in perfectly reasonable questions.
There's other people asking the same thing. So.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else want to make a comment? Hearing none, I will close that section. Moving on to item 4, Water and Sewer Department. There is an activity report in your packet. Any questions or comments on that? So moving on to water. Aerator installation.
We have 2 bids before you. This has been, we've had the aerator on site for months. I don't know if that's FOR or FOUR, it's about the same. And it's time to get it installed. We need to get it done while the weather is clear. There are 2 bids. One of them significantly less, and I spoke to that contractor today, and he has a date picked out for us, which I can call him tomorrow if we choose the lower bid by $20,000. And the project will take place on, barring, barring weather problems on November 16th.
Sorry, Harper, I didn't get that.
November 16th. We'll be done. Well, this part will be done.
Mike, what do you like?
Why is there such a difference in the price? I mean, that's just John Deere compared to something else?
This local contractor compared to, I don't want to one guy can do it for a lot less money. Is, you know, cutting it pretty narrow and doing. I'm very confident that Flynn Drilling can do the
Well,
work.
that's a lot of difference, yeah.
He lifts wells out all the time. I mean, it's nothing to him, it's the same thing he does. He said if I'll supply the parts, he can do her today, and they'll get her done. They're top-notch crew, I have no doubt. Danny says he's gonna be here the 16th, he'll be here the 16th early.
And the old one is when in his proposal, the old one, what happens to the old one? Does he take it out, or does he take it away, or does he leave it
He
there?
takes it out, we'll do something with it.
Yeah.
Scrap metal.
Mhm.
Most of it's
So he'll
all parts, so it won't be
take it
much
out.
left.
That makes for a pretty easy decision.
Yes, there's
Yeah.
no. This is exactly the same price that we got from Hageman in an emergency bid back in the spring. So, yes, I would like a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to accept the low bid from Flynn. I have a motion and a second to accept the low bid for air angle installation from Flynn Drilling Company. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So bid
Flynn,
in the amount of $9,725
$725.
is accepted. Okay, I'll let Danny know tomorrow.
Thanks. Item number 2 underwater, water main break update.
I kind of put that on the agenda in case you guys had any additional questions or it's done.
I
Stay
figured Mike would want
He just wanted me to relive it.
to talk about his weekend, talk about his weekend.
I would say, you know, to watch the efforts of the various departments that took place, it was, you know, we had, well, Mike was down in water about, I don't know, it was about 65, 70 degrees maybe, then that's 65 degrees, the water's about this high, and he's trying to wrap a patch, a clamp around a gushing water main. In an ideal world, we could have cut if all our valves were working like the way they're supposed to, it would have been more like what we did on Friday. But it was, you know, firefighters, street crew, you know, a lot of people pitched in. It was.
Had a lot of help. Police officers go get stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they checked on pumps as long as we weren't there, they were checking, so.
Right.
I had all kinds of help. That wasn't.
Mhm.
I still think we got a line tied in somewhere that we don't even know, not on any of the maps. It's the same thing we had right here at this intersection here, 4-inch main, we still don't have a clue. It's got a valve on it now, we can shut it off, but that's the only reason we did that. And I just think somewhere along the line, something's got to go.
Mhm.
So we now have one on each end of that block. The sad part is, it only affects one house.
Ah.
But if I don't want water flowing down the road, I've gotta have it.
Mhm.
We're gonna have to replace that section, because that cast iron's gave us all kinds of problems.
Yeah, I talked to Lynn at the football game last week. He said that particular line has been on the
Had 3
schedule
weeks.
to be changed, but, you know, with the short
Originally
staff.
started all the way from Miles Street,
Mhm.
and had one valve, looped all the way through alleys, all the way uptown here with one valve on it. Wow. And it didn't work either, so, and it's since been cut out, and a new one put in, we're still getting bid, so
Mhm.
we're gonna have to isolate some more.
Did you get that? I forgot to ask you. Well, you were out today, but the
Hydro stop.
yeah.
I'm supposed to call him back and say something to him, so he might be back.
Yeah, we bought a $45,000 valve insertion tool. We just haven't had a chance to do it enough that we're good at it. So we're gonna get that. Mike's got several lined up. We're gonna get good at it.
Well, I've got a whole new crew from what we originally demonstrated that with, so
Right.
it does me no good to bring it up here and
Right.
I can watch the video, but there's a lot of things the video doesn't do. It's mainly for selling the product, the technicalities of how far to put that bit, don't drill a hole through the bottom, which is kind of key.
Yeah.
So I need to get all that worked out, plus they couldn't get that valve for a week
Right.
because that size main. Normally they have stuff in stock, and I've got several in stock sizes, but not for that one. And he apologized, he said he'd be more than willing to come up and give us a demonstration. We're gonna do a couple while we're doing to kind of familiarize ourselves, plus the new crew that help with that, so. just need the time to do it.
It was an impressive process watching.
It is, and I still think our machine will be a lot smoother than that one. And the valves seem to work a lot better too. It's a plastic valve, you can turn it by hand. We were really fighting to get that thing shut down. And ours seems to shut down a little bit better than the ones we've done, so
Yeah.
I'm anxious to get it going.
And this, turning those valves is a good way to get a workman's comp claim if they're not working very well.
Yeah, we don't want to,
We like to send everybody home at night.
with all our ditches.
Well, we do appreciate everybody's hard work on that. I know it was a big deal, and it was a terrible break, and so.
Thankfully, it wasn't 22 degrees.
And that was the time before, so
Yes.
we've had it both.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Item number 3, declaring truck number 3 surplus property.
We have recently had delivered a new dump truck that we put in this year's budget, and it's being paid for out of the 6212 account, the equipment maintenance. We've built up a very large balance in that account, largely due to the fact that when the last time we calculated the per mile cost for vehicles, gas was much higher than it is now. So this just so you know, that's not coming out of the, that was budgeted to not come out of the general fund because the difficulty. It's also a truck that will probably be borrowed some by other departments and assist with other departments. So it's not a, there's nothing inappropriate about buying it out of that account. So the street department transferred a dump truck to the water department, so the water department, truck number 3 is now surplus, can be declared surplus and put on gov deals as soon as I get around to getting all that done. So we need to declare it surplus property so we can get that sold.
Is that a motion?
I cannot make a motion, obviously.
Do you need?
Yes, yes, I would like a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to declare truck number 3 surplus property. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Surplus.
What type of truck is it that you're declaring?
It's also a dump truck.
Thank you. I believe it should be. Ford. Ford,
Sewer, anything under sewer? Other, we have an item under other, adding personnel.
Well, when we made the budget up this year, we put a 5% increase on water, 5% increase on sewer. One of the possible uses for that, if we didn't have a large number of capital needs during the year, would be to add increased staff. We've talked with Mike over the years over the year, and we've gone kind of back and forth on whether we needed it right away. But I think we both agree now that the water and sewer fund can afford and really need to have an additional personnel. We've now trained up 2 new guys, and they're getting up to speed. But we've got there are 4 people, and they're one of the 2 departments that are emergency on call, and that means that when somebody's if somebody leaves, as we had last year, there was a period of time where Mike and Randy were pretty much on call every other weekend, and whoever's not on call is backing the other one up. So we don't usually lose 2 personnel in a short period of time, but so adding a 5th person back to the water sewer department at this point is I think is necessary, and that's what I'd like to do is go ahead and advertise for that as soon as the board will allow.
I mean, I think it's needed.
I think the age is part of it a little bit too. Randy's kind of leaning towards the end of next year, possibly in the end of his time here. So I've got someone that I think is very willing to jump into his position and has shown a lot of interest in it, and he's got the right mentality for that water plant. He's somebody who can stay on top of it like Randy. I think it'd be excellent, so I think it's time to get somebody else out in the field, learn where everything's at, and that takes a while. I mean, the two new guys are still learning where the valves, where the manholes, and the houses for that matter. I mean, if you're not from here, it's a job just to find where everything's at, doing locates or cards in the morning, so.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Do you need a motion for that too?
Yes, I prefer if you would make a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second to add personnel to the water and sewer department. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any other under other?
I don't know.
I don't have anything.
All right. Moving on to the electric department. Another activity report in your packet. Any questions or comments on the electric department's activity report?
The, rereads, item number 4 there, that seems higher than normal, 27.
Yeah, that's pretty much in line.
Is it? Okay.
It just, you have to go pull the meter out and take it back to the office and be able to reprogram it.
Oh, okay.
And probably a lot less time just to run back by there, and we don't even have to get out, we can use our phone
Okay.
pilot and drive by.
All right.
That's why they haven't been changed, but
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks.
Any other comments or questions on the activity report? Moving on to generation, I don't see anything down, is that the case?
No, that's true. No,
Distribution, we have some equipment bids.
quite a difference in the prices. I talked to Mark about this briefly. Yes, Mark, as best I could, whether he was at a conference. And he was a little surprised at the differences, but they are the same materials. It doesn't obviously look like that when you first glance at it, but these are two bids for the same function. So obviously the annexter bid of $2,456.75 is the better of the two. So we'd be looking for a motion to approve that lower bid.
Are these just stock stuff we use all the time, or is this for,
this is for we did boring on the railroad tracks,
Oh, yeah.
come out of Wilson Street Sub with the 2 more circuits there. And then down at Teardrop, we had those. Just trying to use Wilson Street Sub a little more. You know, I've only got 2 circuits coming out there now.
Mm-hmm.
We could add 2 more. We had a problem over here, and it was cool weather. We'd probably carry the whole town with 1 sub. That's the whole point of that. That's exactly what all this is for on that bid, just that.
Nope, Jeff, so that needs, we should put that on, there's a special line item for that project, so this.
All right.
so you may want to make that motion?
Second.
A motion and a second to accept the low bid from Angster. Amount of $24,56.75. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Item D, other. Motion of Jeff on
This is a personnel issue, but I just wanted to make sure that the board was aware that after, Jeff and I talked for a while, he's willing to accept the position as the foreman. We've got some details that we've worked out, so that will be in an ordinance in November, so November 21 ballot, listen to me. Meeting. My daughter was campaigning very hard. I spoke with our attorney, and unless there is an objection, we can do this, we can, if you would like to have a closed meeting about this, we can. He accepted the position effective October 31st. And you have to pass an ordinance for any increase in mid-year, no matter what. But it would be possible to make it as of if you would accept the,
So,
to that date, according to our attorney.
Only seems right to me.
And I'll have the specific, come out and everything in that.
So that was informational, right?
That's informational, so you know what's going on with the,
So
leadership.
that'll be on the agenda
That'll be on
for the
November 21st.
full board meeting, yeah. Okay.
Well, I was glad to hear it.
And so then, that would,
Yeah.
so that would necessitate a hiring a lineman. We will advertise that with the idea of hiring them soon, we start advertising soon, so that they're hired towards the end of November, early December, sometime maybe even mid-December. That way, they would be able to get their books in time to get started on the apprentice program. Otherwise, we could have waited a little longer, which is what Mark and I talked about at first, but you don't want to miss a whole year when you can, by moving it up a month, you can get him in the program. And him and Scott will then go through the apprenticeship program together. And, that is the assumption, unless we get an applicant who's already gone through, in which case we would probably hire them higher than the lowest level, but we're not gonna go, we've got, the electric fund is fine, but with this year's $150,000 blow, and, no pun intended, on July 7th, we have to be careful we're not gonna hire somebody in at a, high tier, we're gonna hire probably somebody in the bottom level.
Is that school, is that evening classes, or how do you do that?
No, they come by, well, Mark will be coming by to give the test every month for the apprentice.
Okay, so they,
It's during the day.
it's mostly book stuff, or?
You have a study book, and then they give you the test whenever they show up.
Mhm.
You know what chapter you're supposed to be studying. The first test is in February,
I got you.
then they have a final. See, Clayton will be taking a final in first of December, I believe.
And he'd be done with it, he's got one more year.
He's got one more year.
All right.
So that's mostly informational
Mhm.
in terms of timing.
All right,
Okay.
we ready to move on? Public Works? Have an activity report? Was he able to adjust, talk about trash, was he able to adjust his timing on some of the commercial stuff?
I think so. He's been starting later, because I noticed he's in order around my house later than he was. So I think he was starting a little later.
He's done some. I mean, obviously there's some areas. And Landon's got a particular issue because even though it's right on 22, and even though it's obviously a commercial route, Heritage. When you go to the back of Heritage Hall, you pick up a dumpster and you throw it in the back of a rear-loading truck. And he assures me they're trying to be as quiet as possible, but it's metal on metal and metal on concrete. concrete or asphaltic concrete
A diesel engine.
and a diesel engine.
At 3 in the morning.
And they moved it back 3 hours, but that makes it, instead of 12:30, I think it's 12:30 one time, right?
Yeah.
And now it's
It was
back
12 midnight straight up.
12 midnight. So he has adjusted some routes. So people who were on Monday are now on Thursday because the routes were not as, you know, he for his operation he can, you know, try to balance them out so that he doesn't have to try and start at 1 a.m. to get stuff done. But it's still, I mean, I talked to Dane about this, and he'd be happy to come talk with us. He'd become happy to come talk to the public, do an informational meeting, whatever he can do to work with people to get to understand what their problems are and maybe understand the service he's trying to provide. And I mean, I'd be more than willing to set something like that up. He'd rather not be very late at night because he usually wakes up about 1 or 2 in the morning. So you know, bedtime for him is typically about 6 p.m. So something a little, you know, early evening would be his preference. But you know, I think we've made some strides. I think people are getting more used to hearing a diesel engine on their street at 5 in the morning. I mean, it's not as loud as a train, but we're used to that.
Right.
And the train, depending on what part of town you're in that close. I mean, if you're in, you know, so it's and the train doesn't drive down your street with lights. The train's lights are on its track.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't even hear him go by my house last week.
Well, I was saying I was out there. I was actually out at 4:45 a couple of Tuesdays ago, and I set my trash out, and I heard him on. He was over by the senior center. He's on Allen Street picking up some commercial trash, and I could hear him, and I could see his trucks his lights when he went from Bruton to Allen, and you know, it moves at a rate that's different than any other vehicle because they're not going. He's going slowly, a little, and he was. So I went back inside, and I closed the door. It's cool enough to close the door. And I didn't hear him pick up my trash, but I heard the train go by a few minutes later. But that doesn't mean that people's experience with having the trash truck wake them up and their dog up isn't real, isn't important.
It's not as loud as a motorcycle leaving our area every morning.
Yeah. But if it leaves there every morning, you get used to it. And when I used to more often than I do now, I used to get up and walk pretty early in the morning. And there's, you know, the route I go down, there's a dog that barks at me at Coulter and Sims. And there's a dog that barks a little bit up the street from there, and there's a little dog that barks. So, you know, I mean, it doesn't take much to, so there's, I think it's a new noise. I think the complaints have gone down. Either people think they can't fight City Hall, or they've gotten used to it to a certain extent. The gentleman who was in here earlier, who's talking about, I do feel, not that we try to, but that we kind of bait and switch some people who bought those nice 6-gallon carts, especially guys like Mr. Selby, who, who bought one recently. And I think I gotta figure out a way how to make that right. Because that's, you know, I'm not saying getting woke up at 3:30 in the morning, we keep looking at ways to avoid that, because that's, I'm sure Landon values his sleep as much
See,
as
I've
anyone.
talked to a lot of people too, and they still want to keep their carts. They're bagging it in them. And
Yeah.
they love, I'm still using mine to bag it, and I'd rather have it than a trash can.
If I had 4 people living in my house, I'd want one of those nice 6-gallon carts. But I mean, I want to try and, you know, address whatever I can, because if you just, they're what, $74 for
I think the last one we were selling right at 70.
okay, $70. If you just spent $70 and somebody's telling you, I mean, that's not gonna break anybody, but it's for, you know, a minor household item. I don't want to be deaf to their still on the activity project.
Used to get the box of 100.
That's all right.
19 cents a piece.
We'll catch them. Any other comments on activity report? Streets, the Jefferson Street Sidewalk Project update.
Thank those of you who were able to make it out for the ribbon cutting. It was kind of neat. Jenny brought the big scissors and the ribbon, and we had representatives there from MoDOT and from the engineer, the contractor, neighbors.
County?
I'm sorry. The count. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
Janet Thompson was there. The mayor was there. KMIZ showed up, and nobody had to die, so or get shot. So that was kind of cool. I don't. Did they ever run it? I didn't hear. So maybe they found something to look better on TV. But so yeah, no, it's a lot of good compliments. It's
The guard was there too.
oh yeah, sorry. Well, the guard's everywhere. That's what I'm saying. They're ubiquitous. Their coverage is complete.
So it is done deal.
We have one driveway to fix
Yeah.
and a couple of other items to work on. We have a missing sign somewhere. Well, I don't know how much detail you want to go into. You can't put something else on the sign, on the post with the stop sign.
They put the crosswalk sign under the stop sign, they've gotta move that, that's a no-no.
And somehow during that process, and I remember this distinctly because I was walking, going for a walk, and I would walk right by there. And it's not where I don't. It's one of the, I think anyway. It's one of the paths I take less frequently. But I went around the track at high school, came back, went up Jefferson Street, and as I was going toward past, and I'm sure this fascinates you. As I was going past Cox to get to Jefferson Street, I noticed that the Cox Jefferson Street sign was on the ground. And, you know, I probably should have gone and done something, should have when I got back home, got my car and picked that up, because apparently that was too lucrative and
Enticing.
enticing. It's possible that some kids broke it off during the process, because there are pieces of bracket all over the place.
The problem is when the stop sign was on the east side of the sidewalk, the street name was on top of the stop sign, but they needed to move it to the other side to be on the back side of the crosswalk. Well, when it got moved to the other side, the street name was no longer on top of it.
Yeah. So anyway, sometime when I was
But we
lying
found
in the grass
broken bracket everywhere, so I don't know if they broke it in the moving of it, or somebody broke it off, or
Regardless, the Reader's Digest version is
$85 plus shipping. So we got that fixed. We got the driveway fixed. We did the walkthrough, but Bourbon, I've heard a lot of positive comments. I think it was a good project. Came in over budget. And I don't want, I'm trying to be nice here. If the project, the mistake was made early in the process. It wasn't the fault of B&P Patterson. It wasn't the fault of MECO that it went over budget. None of the bids came in under the original drafted version.
What was the oversight?
The original bid, the original numbers in the grant that was put together were too low. And once they've awarded the grant, there's no, that part doesn't change. And you cannot change the scope of the project. The projected construction costs were $147,000 and change. The actual construction cost with everything put together was $201,000 and change. And the only bid that, and this was, there were two higher bids. There was one bid that was lower, it was around 165.
We didn't want them.
But they had a lot of problems. And as slow as this one went, I think there's a reasonably good chance, an excellent chance that it would have gone slower and been more trouble.
less efficiently.
Yeah. based on my own personal observations and the documented stuff we had. So, there we go.
Thank you for that update. Sanitation, solid waste collection update. Kind of covered this a little bit already.
Yeah, I sent a lengthy memo today, and I don't know if you've had enough time to even see it. But at the November 21st meeting, I propose to bring forward an ordinance that will do several things. The first and the thing that most people are going to be interested in is the residential rate would be immediately starting with the bills that begin to be generated on the 25th of November. Excuse me. The residential trash, the typical residential trash cost would be $16 a month, down from $7.25. If you live in an apartment that is served by a 2-yard dumpster or larger, I propose to drop that rate to $15 a month. So like the 25 people that live in the, I'm trying to remember which, the, over on Stonecrest, they're dumpsters, right? Yeah. So their rate would be $15. And on a smaller scale, the apartment of Hardens, if they're putting their trash in a dumpster, it would be $15. Even if they're sharing it with others, it would still be $15. Right now, they're paying $17.25. So we're still doing okay off that. So Russ Green could have, we would drop the 4 apartments there because they're going in a dumpster. But if you're getting it picked up in roll carts or something else, it's less efficient for the, they're charging us for the dump. If you got 25 people going into, how many? You can do the math. We're doing okay at $15 a month. The rest of the other changes will be implemented just to sort of match what Dane's charging us. Now, the one thing I'm suggesting, because people were dropping residential rates, the commercial rates would have gone up. On our proposal, we would have only had 2-yard dumpsters. The proposal we had was to do the collection for $50 a month if we gave you a container, and $42 a month if you didn't have your own container. Right now, or if you had your own container, you bought your own container, we would have had to have charged $42 a month. If you were renting a container from us, like a new customer, we would have started buying them and renting them of a 2-yard size. That would have been $50 a month. And in addition to that, we would have added on a $2 or $2.50. I think we can get by with a $2 per customer rate. I'm suggesting that we just do the rates. We've already sort of plugged in the rates that Dane's is giving us. We can make it until April with just those rates to give people a chance to acclimate and see if they can find a more efficient way for the commercial customers to have their trash picked up. Some examples are a larger dumpster with fewer tips per week. As they can find more efficient ways, cost Dane less, he charges them less, everybody wins. So we won't charge, so I'm suggesting that from now until the March 25th actually, so we passed an ordinance in March, to be effective March 25th, so the rates at the beginning of the fiscal year essentially, we would begin charging the Dane's rate plus the $2 a month administrative fee, which covers the cost that we charge out to in the 6121 account. We charge an amount to each of the utilities. That would cover that amount. And then the 2-yard dumpsters would go up to the current rate. So everybody else, we're going to charge them what Dane is charging us right now. Except for the 2-yard is actually going to be, we're going to leave it that we're not going to change those rates and give them a chance to come up with a new, so nobody sees their rates go up unless they've chosen a new container or needed to have a new container. Because we were kind of babying some customers. And we actually found some customers that we weren't charging through this process. And there were a couple that we were charging more than they should have been charged. We did, this is we got a good audit. So that's, and then in March, we go to the full rate plus the $2 per month. So there'd be for trash, so it'd be kind of baby steps. Most of all residential and many businesses could see an actual reduction. Many businesses will get charged more, but they would have gotten charged more if we'd won the bid too. We were low on commercial. We were probably, we probably could, anyway. So this will set the rates more close to what the market would bear. So then with the other things, the ordinance and the 21st would fix the bulky items charge. We're still charging what the ordinance says, which is $5. So we're losing $2.50. We're not charging for the first bulky item we had been when Bill was picking them up. I think that's right. So we'll go to $7.50 on the second item, just like Dane is charging us for the bulky
Has there
item.
been much of that?
So what?
Has there been much of
Yeah,
that?
there's 2 or 3 every week. It's about what we were saying. The rates for extra tips. So like if the senior center, normally they'll be fine with a 2-yard dumpster. About once a month they have a bingo night, and they'll need an extra tip. Or occasionally businesses need an extra. We've been charging $11. The charge for Danes will be whatever a third of the monthly rate is. We charged $11 where the rate was $33. So we'd just be so if you have a 4-yard dumpster, that'd be be able to figure out what the rate is. And then put a caveat, put something in the ordinance where a special situation occurs that we haven't come up with in this, it's not covered in any other thing, that we can set a rate until such time as we can come up with an ordinance. So myself or my designee would come up with a charge for something, I don't know what it is, but if something came up that we didn't have specifically in the ordinance already. And it's gonna be built around about the cost of a cubic yard, or whatever Dane would charge us, and we'll work something out, like we did with the extra tip. Finally, I propose to create we talked about this after the last retreat, an option where commercial customers who are next to each other, physically next to each other, could share a dumpster and get charged. One business would be the lead business, and they would be charged the rate of the dumpster, plus the $2 administrative fee. And then all the 2 or 3 other businesses I see, I can't see it being made more than that, would be charged $5 a month. I'm thinking of Russ Green's building, Hardin's building where they share a dumpster with the restaurant. And we can come up with other solutions, but this would be one option. We'd come up with a draft agreement, which I'll have by the 21st. They would give us that. They would say these businesses will all be in this dumpster, this size, this many tips, and the representative from each business. How they split the cost amongst each other is their business, and I don't care. If they, so that's if Russ Green wants to take the cost of all the businesses and pay it, and then add it to his rent, he can do that. Which is so that's what I'm proposing to do. But every business who has a water meter would still have a trash bill, even if it's only $5 a month. Because I think that's something that we've always had, and there's a good reason for it. It keeps people from getting free trash service, and it keeps, it's a way to catch people who want to try and get free trash service. But if they can share the same dumpster, I don't care. I don't don't care, you know, if they're, you know, if they're, if they can reduce the number of trips in town, the number of time in town, the number of containers in town, that's something we should encourage, I think. And that, I think that in terms of the financial, I'm reasonably certain, very certain, that this rate structure will be able to not only maintain the operation, but I think we'll be able to work towards getting that $250,000 in 5 years, so that if we want back out, we can do that. Excuse me.
All right, so we'll wait for that lengthy ordinance, sounds like.
It'll be fun.
Anything else under solid waste? Anything under storm sewer? Anything under other?
Nope.
Item 7, other.
I have made some, should I go ahead under A? I've made some modifications to the engineering on-call project RFQ. Basically, have reduced the insurance requirements as requested. One of the other things to no more than $1 million per occurrence, and then 1 million, 3 million is pretty common these days. And if you guys would like, I can throw something in there to say that the city could require less insurance for businesses that are willing to take only small projects. But the problem here is, if you're working on a very small project, and you know you're only like Maze Meadows or something like that, you know, you somehow cause like your truck jumps out of idle and drives through somebody's house. It doesn't matter the fact that the project was only, you know, a $12,000 project. You've got a, you know, $50,000, you know, your $50,000. If it hits somebody, God forbid, you know, your liability is not necessarily only related to the cost of the project. So, you know, it's not that high for business these days. I mean, looking to the left where we have people in small businesses, am I wrong when I'm saying that?
That's reasonable.
Okay.
We carry that.
What is the scope that you're planning on doing here as far as engineer? I mean, is this gonna be something like, we gotta do subdivision like we have with Darren Campbell as far as drawing something up, somebody be on that, or are you going as big as, say, the water plant needs some revamping, and somebody to look at what might make that work? Is that the same?
Yeah. So, and I'm looking at 1 or 2 firms in each of the disciplines. Now, it may be Burns and McDonald. I don't, you know, they can do probably pretty much everything on there. And we say we want one firm like Burns and McDonald. But then, in addition, we would have a firm that, you know, other smaller or different sized firms that would be specific to 1 or 2 areas. It currently also has in it still, which Borman was talking about, the surveying and the geotechnical engineering and materials testing. I can pull that out and do that in a separate. I just soon get it all taken care of at once. And I've talked to several of the engineers, and some of them will bid on some of it, some of them won't bid on some of it. So, I see this as some way to move forward faster on several projects. Now, we still have to pay for the engineering on the project. Then we would do a scope of work before the work was done. And then we move forward on individual projects. this is becoming a rather common way for cities to do it. We had examples from Clayton, big, well, relatively big budget city in St. Louis, from Mexico, from Eldon. I know that, gosh, a half a dozen other cities that have done this way. Just makes you a little bit more nimble for small projects. And specifically when somebody brings in a subdivision, DNR, and I'm not saying they did anything that they weren't exactly supposed to do, but going over the process of getting the water plans approved for Southwest Country Estates has not been easy. And having somebody who took that project from, did that, was on top of that, because the city has to submit those. Sewer plans are up to the developer. The city has to take care of that.
So we, specifically to that Southwest Country Estates project, do those water plans require an engineer's stamp?
They do.
And where do we get that?
That's the problem. That's the problem. I do everything up, we get somebody to stamp it, and then getting DNR, they want that page in there that shows the thrust block behind the fire hydrant, that most people don't even do anymore, they use Megalugs to do it, but they want that page in there. And I think that was part of the problem, they had the specifics that they wanted that are so routine to any water project that it had to be put in there. If we don't have that, and I guess we'd pull off another job, but we gotta have somebody to do that.
And they wanted to have somebody stamp the specifications, and anyway, so it's just,
Then you gotta pay somebody else to come in and stamp the work that you did. So,
How do you see the liability?
yeah, big problem. Yeah.
and we would need, excuse me, to put together some sort of committee to evaluate this. I would like to, as we did with the solid waste district, invite invite somebody from another city that's done this.
From Mexico.
Yeah, Ken, oh God, what's the name of the engineer in Mexico? I'm drawing a blank. I think his last. Kinsey.
Okay, might be right, Kinsey.
Or,
Sounds right.
from some other neighboring city that would, if they're willing, be willing to cooperate on that. Somebody who's been through that exact same process. But we can do that at a later meeting. But I'd like to get this out on the street for, it's gonna take the firms some time to come up with a proposal. I don't see having this finished January or February probably before we're ready to go.
Well, obviously, I don't feel qualified to tell you if this is a good RFQ. I'm just relying on you.
Well, it's very similar to one. I borrowed and pasted and I sent it out to 3 different firms. And the only thing I heard back from the firms was about basically one other one said that maybe the $2 million per occurrence was a little high on the insurance. But basically, they had some specific comments and made some of those edits.
Well, I think the overall idea is a good idea, and I've heard people say, couldn't believe we didn't already have this in place.
Mm-hmm.
But,
We-
so,
We are, and I'm not looking at changing our electrical grid. We're happy with BHMG. They've been working out with us for a long time.
so you need a motion on this?
We wait till the full meeting.
Yeah, I don't. No, I would. Well, actually, yeah, no. I guess I would like a motion because I'd like to go ahead and put this out on the street as essentially as is. If I catch some typos or something like that, I'd like to fix it. But essentially as is.
You wanna make that motion?
So moved.
A motion and a second to present this RFQ. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I don't have
And
much.
I'm thinking everybody's consternation on this, I don't think any of us know enough about it to, you know, obviously, the guy that used to sit here would have had comments, but.
He wasn't alien. He wasn't upset by the whole process, and I don't want to speak for him. As far as I could tell, his concern was there were specific things in there that he thought gave a disadvantage to larger firms.
Smaller firms?
No, to larger firms. Oh, I'm sorry, disadvantage to smaller firms, and gave a disproportionate advantage to larger firms.
Right.
I mean, the main thing there would be the insurance, so I've reduced that to hopefully. And all then it becomes what do you call a small firm? Miko doesn't think that they're a big firm.
Yeah.
Certainly, Gary Cunningham's shop is a small firm because it's him.
Comprehensive plan update.
The process continuing to move forward looks really good. The big meeting would be November 15th, 7 o'clock in the community room. Bring all 4 groups back together. We hope to have sort of a draft plan at that point, and reports from each one of the committees. And then from then on, it's kind of just putting everything back together in a document that will serve as a roadmap for the city for hopefully less than 30 years. But a lot of what was left from the 1987 plan, I mean, I mean, you guys have been, many of you have been to some of the meetings. That's where we started. So we're not.
Are we gonna put the survey out ahead of writing the comprehensive
Yes,
plan?
yes. We're gonna, and one of the things we're gonna talk about at that meeting are most of the committees have worked at least a little bit on survey questions, and so we're gonna try and get that boiled down to a manageable amount, and they'll probably do it combination of online and other methods, but the online's the cheapest by far. The trick is to get. I mean, there are a huge number that participate in that survey.
Right.
Whereas the one that I send out every year, we have a couple hundred, maybe. Not even, I mean, 100, between 100 and 200. You got 145 this year. All right.
Thank you for that update. As Mayor Rupp.
Okay. One thing, many of you know the Veterans Day is coming up on Friday. A lot of stuff going on Veterans Day. This schoolhouse is alive and well with flag events. The VFW is putting on an event at 6:30 right next door here at the Christian Church. And then Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, we've got a 5-day 5K run, 5K run. And the proceeds for this 5K run is to benefit the Avenue of Flags. Avenue of Flags has been up every major national holiday for the last 10, 12 years. Some of those flags are getting deteriorated, some of the poles are getting bent. When someone purchases a flag, it's a one-time $100 fee, and eventually that gets depleted. Flag repairs, replacement, and poles and stuff like that, so we're raising money for that. I've got several folks coming up from Jeff City or Mexico and surrounding areas to run in that already. It's coming together pretty well.
We got a major sponsor today too.
Got a major sponsorship today, so that's good.
Who's that?
Somebody gave us a $500 check, so.
Anonymous?
It's FCS. financial. So,
Yeah, bank.
a bank, yeah. So, they're, projected to present that to the VFW, by Thursday evening at the meeting. So, if you're, interested in walking or running 5K, we're gonna start at the Avenue Flags at the, Veterans Memorial there, and we're gonna finish there,
Can we drive our golf carts?
so.
Is it a 5K
Well-
cruise?
It's not a
You
cruise.
can walk.
You
You told me I
can
could walk.
Yes. So, we do have it sponsored on
I'm
Eventbrite.
still out there. Can I drive my
So,
golf?
you can drive your golf cart to the beginning and from the end, so.
You can use it as a shag wagon.
There you go, you can follow people and pick them up when they drop out or whatever. That's all I have.
I did have one thing I should probably have put under other. We've been working with a committee of employees. Phil's on that committee, Bob Bias, Heather, Phyllis, Jay, Clayton. I think that's it. Looking at health insurance proposals, we're getting closer. We had 2 proposals submitted on time and a third one by another company that was not competitive. I think we're getting down to like 1 or 2 possible proposals. The committee has worked very hard. I'm very, and I like the idea of having that committee, and there may be things that we can continue to work on in the future after this. It's been a good model, and I think that the employees have liked having that much input. At least, it's not everybody, but it's not chaos. But it's, I'm hoping that they're talking to their departments so that, worst case scenario, we're looking at a 4.6% raise or increase to just renew our current plan. But there may be options to reduce that next year. And we're looking at having each individual employee have more than one option when they come to the table for So we're hoping to have 2 options, so they can take a high deductible, and the city will put some money towards an HSA. That's the plan. I'm not sure if that's the idea. And then a lower deductible, standard, what we've always done.
All right.
Anything else under as may around? Accept a motion to adjourn then.
Second.
Third.
All those in favor? Aye.